And welcome to New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones. I am Laura Jones, and we're so glad to have you here. Monmouth County has launched a new program called Open for Business in Monmouth. It will help coordinate ribbon-cutting ceremonies for new and expanding businesses and recognize milestone anniversaries. Commissioner Director Tom Arnone is standing by to explain how it works. First, a controversial bill that would hold major fossil fuel companies financially responsible for climate change damages cleared a key hurdle last week. The Climate Superfund Act passed the Assembly Environmental Committee on a party line vote and now heads to the full Assembly. Supporters say the bill would make polluters pay to help fund projects that protect New Jersey from flooding, extreme heat, and severe storms. Critics, however, argue it would raise energy costs and hurt the state's economy. Joining me now is Assemblyman Gerry Scharfenberger, a Republican from Monmouth County and one of the bill's strongest opponents on the committee. Assemblyman, thank you for being here. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Laura.
All right, so you've called this Climate Superfund Act a disastrous bill. Why do you believe it's going to be so harmful to New Jersey?
Well, where do we start? It's one of the worst pieces of legislation I've seen come down the pike. And what I think it's going to end up doing is, number one, it's going to be found unconstitutional. But we can speak about that in a bit. But it completely attacks some of the major job creators in New Jersey here. And without any sort of due process, that's what has most people up in arms, that they're being accused of something that there's no evidence. There's no crimes that have been committed. There's nothing. It's just what I call a money grab, what would amount to about $50 billion going back to 1994. So it's an anti-business bill, most of all.
Yeah, so you're saying this is going to be devastating to the economy. So can you explain to us, how is it going to, you said it attacks job creators. How does it affect jobs, businesses, and energy costs, because those bills are not getting any cheaper?
Exactly. And first of all, as far as attacking companies, here we have legal companies who have made a legal product over the years, a product that people need and want every day of their lives for their very survival. So to go back into time and suddenly penalize them on the most specious of accusations is ridiculous. So what this does, it attacks these companies and it will force them out of the state ultimately. The total cost will end up being close to $50 billion, it's estimated. And we've already seen in the last few weeks, we've seen Exxon, after 140 years, move to Texas to a more inviting business climate. And we've had Samsung just a few weeks ago announce that they were leaving for Texas and taking 1,000 jobs with them. And we're hearing other major companies will follow suit. So companies don't have to sit here and take this sort of thing. They can simply move to more inviting environments. And that's what we're seeing happen here. Yeah. As far as utility costs, that $50 billion is going to be passed on to the consumer. We already have the highest utility cost in the country, just about, and this is only going to make it worse. Companies will not simply absorb this; they will pass it on to the consumers. So it's a double-edged sword here, where you have job losses on top of increased utility costs.
Yeah. So help the audience and people understand. The bill is targeting, like an ExxonMobil, large fossil fuel companies, and it's going for emissions going back to 1995. So they want to hold those companies responsible now, even though their products were legal at the time. How does that pass muster?
And that's part of the mystery of this whole thing. They follow the laws. They follow the very, very strict regulations in producing their product. They made a legal product and sold it on the open market. So there's no sign of any transgressions here, any laws that were broken, that they would need to be punished punitively like this. And that's the biggest problem too here. What are they being accused of? Making a product that everybody needs? And further, Laura, what happens with us? Are we now on the hook? Are we now liable, people who use those products? So it's a very, very dangerous, slippery slope that we're seeing here. And it attacks job creators, and it sends a very, very chilling message to other industries. What's going to happen if, say, the food industry, who makes a product that may, if you overindulge in it, cause health problems? What's going to happen? Can somebody pass legislation to go after them in retrospect? So this is a very, very frightening prospect we're looking at here.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is a slippery slope, right? The precedent that it sets. So, climate change, this is a global problem, but things can be done at the local level, at the state level, county level. Why do you think New Jersey is acting alone? Why do you think New Jersey acting alone on this wouldn't be effective? I mean, again, because so they say that they do this, and again, that the intentions are good. It is to have a cleaner environment, right? The intentions are good, but the way they're going about it, not necessarily passing muster.
Exactly. Everybody wants clean air, clean water, clean environment in general. Everybody wants that. This is simply a money grab, and most people even acknowledge it if you get them off the record and say, "Listen, we need funds to fund this project, this initiative, whatever it may be." So they're a handy tool to be used to tap into for money for other unrelated things. There's no way that you can assign blame to a New Jersey company in 1998 for any sort of climate damages that happen on a global stage here.
Yeah.
So there's no way you can assign it that specifically. So
Yeah.
that's going to be the difficult part. Now, as far as the unconstitutional part of it, there is no due process. These companies have no ability to defend themselves and maybe get their day in court to air whatever grievance may be brought against them. So this is really problematic from both a fairness and an economic standpoint.
Yeah, so that could open the legal floodgates, which then ultimately that costs money. Somebody's going to have to pay those legal bills. But again, like how is it being proposed that which companies pay for what and how damages are calculated? Like how is that being addressed right now in the legislature? Like what you've seen the bill? How is it coming across those calculations?
All very good questions, and nobody's really sure how they're calculating, what metrics they're using for measurement to calculate any sort of so-called damages. And that's part of the problem too here. I should say also that New York and Vermont have passed similar legislation, and it's already been tied up in court. So this is on top of everything going to cost the state probably millions of dollars in legal fees trying to defend something that will ultimately be found to be unconstitutional and overturned. So you have the legal problem, you have the financial problem, and we're going to see major job losses in addition to increasing rates, utility rates, energy rates. We're going to see this across the board.
I mean, the other thing that's coming to mind as well is whether a company is in the right or wrong. That you go to litigate this. These big fossil fuel companies, they've got the money to drag this out in court, and states don't have the money to fight this in court. Like, I mean, this may be to a certain degree, litigating it might be something very well worth their while. Whereas, what is the unintended consequence? Again, we're trying to have a better environment, cleaner water, fresher air for us, for the future. So how do you kind of rectify that?
Exactly. And, we have to keep in mind, Laura, that there could be natural reasons too for climate change. If the Earth's axis tilts a little bit, if sunspot activity on the sun increases, that will affect climate. If volcanic activity increases, that will affect climate. So how do you parse out what is man-made, what is made contributed to by these companies? You can't. There's no way to do that. And this is what's going to come out in court. And this is what's ultimately going to doom this bill. And after several $1 million later of taxpayer money. Now, keep in mind, we've diminished our supplies and our ability to create energy here in New Jersey over the last 8 years. We're paying the price for that, too, with higher utility rates. Doing this will only exacerbate that, and it will be passed on to the consumer. Anyone who thinks otherwise is completely wrong and doesn't understand the way economics and business works. When you increase overhead like that, it will be passed on to the consumer. It's economics 101.
Right. That was my next question. Is the legislation as it stands now, ultimately, how is it affecting everyday residents when it comes to heating and transportation costs and cooling?
Yeah, exactly. And think of every product that we use that's transported by trucks and vehicles like that. Air flights
Yeah.
with fuel costs and everything. It's going to impact everything. So prices are going to go up, not just the actual cost of the fuel, but the products that are used being shipped by that sort of delivery system.
Yeah, and what about New Jersey's business climate, right? We talked a little bit about that at the top of the segment, but what message is this sending to the business community? So much of New Jersey's business relies on small business, but we've got some huge, huge businesses here, and they're leaving the state.
Yeah, and it's a consequence of our business climate here. And we are either at or near the bottom in business climate across the country year after year. And companies know this. They see this. They can see they're being courted by other states that have more favorable corporate business tax rates. We're the only state in the union with a double-digit corporate business tax rate.
Yeah.
At 11.5%. That's the highest. Companies don't have to simply sit here and take this. They can simply move with our communications, with cell phones, with tablets, all of these things. You can operate a business anywhere in the world and still have a presence here in New Jersey without the assault on your taxes and your operating costs.
Right, right. I mean, and not only, businesses staying in New Jersey, it's hard for people just to afford a mortgage, afford rent, afford utility bills. So now that the bill is cleared committee, what do you expect is going to happen next? The Republicans are in the minority. The Democrats hold quite the majority, almost a supermajority. What happens next, and how do you and other Republicans plan to push back against this? Because this is right along party lines.
Well, this is exactly what we're doing. We're trying to sound the alarm and get the word out on how destructive this is and try and get people engaged and maybe contact their legislators and say, listen, we don't like this. Contact the governor's office saying this is going to be bad for business. It's going to threaten our jobs. And, again, I'm hoping the unions step up because a lot of these jobs are union jobs that we're going to see leaving the state. So I think if we have a concerted effort from all the interested parties, maybe we'll get some action from the governor to not sign the bill or, kick it back. I don't think there's anything that could be amended that could make it more palatable, but it is just a bad bill start to finish. So I think that's the greatest hope we have, is that we can sound the alarm, get people aware of how damaging this is, what it would do to their, utility costs, if nothing else, and the potential job losses. And I think if enough attention is paid to it, I think we have a good chance to put the brakes on this.
And is this something that is looking to be completed by the end of this fiscal year, which ends on June 30th?
It's possible. It's possible. I think with the budget coming, though, I think that's going to be such a hot potato that they may not want to do this at the same time as the budget. But anything's possible. It could wait until the fall when the legislature's back in session again. But hopefully not. Hopefully it'll never see the light of day. Hopefully
Well, that was it.
Prevail here.
Right. While everybody's there working on the budget, again, I wasn't sure where this was along the process to try and get that done, because a lot of people do like to try and get things done by the end of the fiscal year. But you think this is something that will continue over to the next legislative session?
It could be. And the longer it goes without coming to the floor for a vote, I think the better chance we have of it being mothballed for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Assemblyman, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura.
Small businesses are the backbone of Monmouth County's economy, and county leaders want to make sure they get the spotlight they deserve. The Board of County Commissioners officially launched a new countywide program called Open for Business in Monmouth. The initiative will help coordinate ribbon-cutting ceremonies for new businesses, expansions, relocations, and grand openings, and will also recognize companies celebrating major milestone anniversaries. The announcement was made at Bellworks in Tinton Falls.
Monmouth County is home, as we all know, of 53 municipalities. Small businesses remain the backbone of what our local economy is. And I say this also over and over again, that 95% of our businesses are small businesses here. And it's something that we have to recognize. Listen, we could get right on 36 and the Home Depots and all those large chains are very important. They're vital to our economy. But if it wasn't for the 95% small businesses, we would not be what we are. And actually, in some cases, the survival mode.
The development of Bellworks is an exciting investment in Monmouth County's future, demonstrating how thoughtful redevelopment creates opportunities for businesses, residents, and visitors. Events like this highlight the importance of partnerships among government, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and residents.
Today, we were proud to launch this. This is a county-wide initiative that supports new and expanding businesses, serves all 53 municipalities, establishes a centralized county-led process where we will work hand in hand with the municipalities when those businesses come into their town. Obviously, none of that is done without the coordination, the support, and the partnership between the municipalities and us. Why does this matter? Visibility. Visibility to the businesses. In most cases, businesses can survive on their local town, but think about this. If you're in, I'll use my town, for example, in Neptune City, I can tell you the businesses in Neptune City could not survive just on the people in Neptune City. They need the surrounding towns to make them support.
And Commissioner Director Tom Arnone is here with us now to explain how the program works and what it means for businesses across all 53 municipalities in the county. Welcome, Tom. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, so let's talk a little bit about why the county decided to launch Open for Business in Monmouth at this time.
So we started to see how everybody was positively taking the made in Monmouth, grown in Monmouth, distilled and brewed in Monmouth, sliced in Monmouth. And we started to say we needed a way to make sure that people realize it's so very important when a business opens up in a municipality. But with that being said, they kind of are isolated with getting the outreach to that municipality. We figured if we could work in coordination with all 53 municipalities, which we will, and we have a great relationship with, when any business comes into town, or as you just said before, go through an expansion or a renovation or a milestone, anything to that effect, we will broadcast it out. And we will make sure it goes out countywide, which will take that outreach from one municipality to 53 municipalities, and hope it makes a huge financial benefit to that business.
Yeah, well, because people think, oh, a ribbon cutting ceremony, it's for the people there, but it's more. It's about that, getting the picture blasting out to social media, getting the word out. So how exactly does a business go about requesting county participation in one of these ribbon cutting ceremonies? Can you walk us a little through the process?
Sure. So you would go to our business development, Monmouth County Business Development website there. And when they get on that website there, they will just register that they're a new business, the local municipality that they're in. For example, since I was in Tinton Falls when we did the actual initial press conference for this initiative there, let's just say it was in Tinton Falls, and let's use Bellworks as an example because they're a newer business that just recently came in there. They would contact the county. We, in return, would make sure that we contact the municipality, especially the mayor and the governing body there, to obviously join us as a united party there, showing our support to those municipalities. And the one thing about it is that a lot of people are missing are also that there's milestones, whether it's 10, 20, 25, up to 50, even 100 years We have so much tradition of businesses here in Monmouth County, and like I say all the time, the backbone of our business climate here, 95% of it actually is small businesses. You know, we need the big chains, we need the Home Depots, we need all those big chains, but at the end of the day, without our small businesses thriving, the economy is going to suffer.
Well, that's it. People love going and seeing the same people, the same guy that's been running the hardware store or the ice cream shop or what have you. People like that. They love their local businesses and they love supporting it. But when you're in the thick of it running a business, sometimes, the last thing you have time for is to recognize, okay, we were celebrating 10 years. 25, 50, like that takes a lot of time and effort. So what about those businesses? What do they receive? How does the county highlight
what they
them?
will receive, they will receive something that they probably, like you just said, they probably cannot do. They don't have and I don't say all, but there's a good portion of it that don't have the financial means to market. Okay, because listen, it's tough running a small business. I've done it for many years. It's tough running a small business, and what happens is you have to look to where your resources go, and marketing unfortunately suffers there. So this will give them the tool for the county to market their business there, and I think that in itself, to get the notoriety, and as you know, social media is the driving force today with being able to get the outreach out there. We have a huge social media presence in the county here. We're extremely recognized as being business friendly. I just use our Made in Monmouth, for example, what we do over at Monmouth, at Brookdale Community, our college there, that, we have well over 300 businesses there twice a year, free to them. We have like almost 10,000 people come in showcasing their products. That's this is just another expansion and always growing our business development side.
Yeah, can you just talk a little bit about the impact that you hope this is going to have on those small businesses and the overall local economy, right? It's not just about the businesses, but, especially when you're in, some of these smaller towns, small businesses, this is what makes, New Jersey and these areas so unique, and it makes them thrive.
So the funny thing about it is Monmouth County has 53 municipalities.
Yeah.
And, I'm obviously somewhat biased. I feel we are the best county in the state of New Jersey. And with that being said, we have so many great businesses. But if you look at it, our geographic area is very, very large. From Upper Freehold to Sandy Hook to Brielle to Aberdeen, there's a lot of geographic area in there. And there's a lot of businesses in those areas there. And a lot of people, and I'll use the town that I live in Neptune City. It's 1 square mile. We have a lot of great businesses there. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's in 1 square mile there. And we have so much other geographic area that we could be able to expand for these businesses to get an outreach. And that's really the initiative of what this is about. And what the goal is to drive revenue for that business, to drive revenue for the region that it's in, and of course the county. And we're seeing that as everybody knows, Monmouth County has become probably the most desirable place to move to now, and I think it is because of the positive effect people feel like. Listen, we want to move to a county that wants us. And how can you show that we want you? We show you that we make sure that we get the outreach for you saying you're here.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, if you open up social media, there's a lot trending about, about people moving to the area with Netflix coming. So there's a lot of attention. But I want to go back to this announcement, with the local businesses. You had strong support from the mayor of Tinton Falls and the Eastern Monmouth Chamber of Commerce. What about the other local mayors? How are they reacting, and how are the other local chambers working with the county on this?
So that's a great question. So I'm very fortunate coming from a former mayor for 8 years and being now here for close to 16 years. I have such a great relationship with all 53 mayors that every time that we do something here, it's done countywide, including all 53 municipalities on a positive side. They just don't take it and, listen to it or read it and then, put it to the wayside. They actually act on it. So what we will be doing is we're going to be getting out 53 to all 53 municipalities, a whole initiative of what this is. Okay, open for business, and this is what they can forward to their constituents, which is helpful because besides us getting, the one thing we can't do is get to each and every constituent in each municipality. They can. They have the resource and the tool to, and it will show their constituents that they care and that they're working with the county, and we're going to work jointly to make sure that their businesses are extremely, extremely profitable and vibrant.
So for business owners watching right now who might have an upcoming opening, anniversary, or just watching this and they don't know how to get information, what is the easiest way to get them started and connected with the right people to help them succeed and thrive?
You just go to Monmouth County Economic Development, and it comes right up on your website there. And when you see it, you will see a link that will say open for business. And once you click on it, it's pretty self-explanatory. We will probably have it up and running, I would imagine, by the end of this week. And we're looking forward to all businesses taking so much advantage of this because it's a tool. It's a free tool there that they can use, and there's nothing to lose on this.
Right.
The county's taking a positive approach to try to help them.
Tom Arnone, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you for having me.
And that'll do it for today. I'm Laura Jones. Thanks so much for watching New Jersey Politics. We look forward to seeing you back here next time.